Okay then. Well, welcome to the meeting. See, we've got Nadine with us, Robert, and George E. So welcome to the visitors. First then, receive apologies for absence, Emma.
I've had apologies from Councillor Fuller and Councillor Sparks.
Okay, are we happy to accept those?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Move on then. Declaration of interests. I need to start with myself. I'm a resident of St Christopher's Drive, and our response to the local plan is coming up later on.
I'm a resident of Peters Road, which
Okay.
always seems to be something.
Right. Okay. Anybody got any others? Trust you to raise it if your memory is jogged when we come to an item. Right, minutes of the previous meetings then. We've got the monthly meeting and two extraordinary ones. So the first, the meeting of the 16th of February. Has anybody seen those? Are quite comprehensive. No problems?
No.
Okay, then I'd like to propose those. And we've got a seconder there from Val. And all those in favour?
I only just joined you. I don't know what you.
Right, sorry, Malcolm. We're on the minutes of the 16th of February.
Yeah, okay.
That's okay. So we're all in favour of those. Peter, welcome.
Good evening.
Right, those are signed and ready to go. The next one then is for the extraordinary meeting that we held on the 23rd of February. And that was principally to look at the making an offer for the garage in New Road. So anybody got any problem with those? Okay, we've got an agenda item later on, but yeah, I propose those then, and then a seconder. Yeah, so Clive will second them. All those in favour?
I wasn't there, but I'll vote if you want me to.
Right, so all in favour, thank you. And then finally, the 9th of March, and just to remind me, this was reference the rugby club lease. So has anybody got any problem with what was written there? No. And
No.
Val is proposing them. I'll second them. And all those in favour? That's fine. Thank you. So they're all signed and ready to go. Right, so next page. Public participation. Well, we've got 3 people here. Any of you want to say anything, or you just come to listen?
Could I raise a point quickly?
You certainly can.
I just was going to raise the point of the issue of speeding in the marketplace and the marketplace 20 zone. I noticed there's an agenda item later on about receiving some correspondence, but I just thought I'd say I wrote to the Northamptonshire Police Fire and Crime Commissioner about the issue a few weeks ago. And I got a response from his office saying that all 20-mile-an-hour zones should have traffic calming throughout the zone. They passed it to the Safer Roads team who responded with this. They established that the marketplace doesn't have any traffic calming, and I replied saying that, you know, because of the nature of the age of the marketplace, it wouldn't really work. But I think really more should be done with, I don't know, signs, more enforcement of some kind. So
yeah, I know it's an age-old problem that we've had with speeding. Ian has been a big member with the speed camera out, you know, doing the various checks. But you know, they slow down when they see you and then continue afterwards. And particularly along the around the marketplace and out of the town, it has been raised as a matter of concern with the police. You know, and when we raised it about 6 months ago, they came back with it. They did a survey on it, and they couldn't track anybody breaking the speed limit. And this is the problem. As soon as they know the police are around, they behave themselves. But all I can do, you know, if you get details, Clive.
Just a quick thank you, Robert, for raising that. I mean, I think it's valuable that people are doing it. And you're absolutely right. I think if we started putting speed bumps in the middle of the marketplace, it would detract from the architectural beauty of the whole thing. But I concur with the mayor that speeding throughout the town, not just in the 20-mile-an-hour zone, but completely around all the schools, up and down Glatford Road, everywhere. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Much, much
I'll
worse.
go in the
In my
order that we
opinion.
noticed them. It's Jerry, Ian, and then Val.
I think Val was ahead of me.
Go on then, Val, Jerry, then Ian.
Having gone through all this when this was originally installed, the limit, we can't have sleeping policemen and chicanes and all the other things that constitute traffic calming. We can only hope that people will obey our suggestion, if you like, that they limit their speed to 20 miles an hour. It's a
Okay,
difficult
Jerry?
situation.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that sleeping policemen would be a terrible idea. I'm completely opposed to them anyway, to be perfectly honest, because I think they cause far more trouble than they cure. But I do wonder whether we could pick up on Robert's observation that there should be traffic calming there and see whether there's something else that can be done. And I'd go back to the high street, what's it called? The work we did a year or so ago, and where we were looking at, you know, could we have cobbled areas? Could we sort of try to blur the boundary between the pavement area and the road area in order to create a more calmed area? And I think the example at the time was given was Market Harbour, wasn't it, where they've done that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And I, you know, it's expensive, but you know, we shouldn't just dismiss that we can't do it. I don't think, and I think we ought to keep it up there as a, you know, with the new North Hants. You know, how do we make our town centre more calm?
Yeah, no, it certainly should be in that bigger plan for the whole town centre. Yes, Ian.
I've actually put on the estates meeting next week a request that we maybe look at doing another traffic survey, because the last big one in 2011 is still being used, and of course so much has changed with Waitrose and housing and everything else, and it just seems that speed, the way we push people around town, etc., is all worth a good look. And with Northants refreshing highways, it seems like an ideal way. So maybe we can take Robert's ideas and Jerry's ideas and push them all something in, and actually get a view of what people would like and what might work, and then give us 10 years strategy moving forward.
Yes, it's part of a bigger plan. Yes, please. Malcolm.
Yeah, what about these signs that light up when you're speeding? Can we put one of those up in town?
Yep. Okay, Emma.
Just on that, Sarah Barnwell has had a meeting with a resident in West Street that I had a meeting with them last summer, and that's one of the things that we've talked about, the portable VAS vehicle activated signs.
Yeah.
And you can get funding for those, so we could, I've got the information. It came in a bit too late to go on this agenda, so I've got it ready for the April one. But we can probably have a look and see, you know, because you can move them around the town as well, so that might help, having one of those.
Just as a quick one on signage, I know this is a sort of fairly big debate about, you know, you can have too many signs and people get sign blind. But I went through Weldon today, and in Weldon they put up these signs that are really quite sort of, there's a picture of a road crash and it says it's 30 miles an hour for a reason on the sign by the side of the road. And that made me sort of look and think, well, yeah. So there's lots of really effective signage out there. Whether how much you put in, I don't know.
No, okay. So it's a good idea to get it onto the estates then, as Ian said there, but also part of, you know, what Jerry mentioned, this greater plan for the town centre and how we could remodel it. Okay, thank you very much, Robert, for bringing that. Has anybody else got anything to add at this point? And in terms of requests from interested parties, Emma?
Nothing.
No. Okay then. So we go on to the meeting itself. So as a mayor's report, you know, all I'd say verbally is that most of my last week has been spent on doing that draft for the local plan 2, which, you know, will form part of what we submit, and we'll talk about that as an agenda item later on. Okay. District Council's report. We've got Rupert here. Welcome, Rupert.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors. I asked Emma to circulate a copy of my representations under Regulation 19 for the pre-submission consultation exercise. You will all appreciate that while these representations, when people choose to make them, are something of a formality, because they just get bundled up with all the other representations and then sent off to the Secretary of State along with the plan itself. But they have the value that they do put up a marker and that the civil servants in MHCLG will read them and brief the independent inspector before he descends on us to hold his inspection in public. And you will appreciate that inspectors are independent and proud of their independence and jealous of it. So they will be out to act fairly and impartially. Now, my paper, which I take it, you would have the opportunity to read, rather delicate exercise, really a first shot.
Sorry, Rupert, just one moment. Emma's got input.
I'm not. Did I circulate it? Has anybody seen anything? Yeah, sorry, Rupert. I don't think I have circulated. I emailed you and asked if you could send me. You were going to send a hard copy, and then I asked for an electronic copy,
which I sent you.
I don't think I saw that.
But in two attachments. One attachment, a letter to you dated 11th of March, and the other copy, my paper itself. However,
we'll get that when it comes around.
I'll circulate it.
You can follow up after the meeting and send it round. Meanwhile,
sorry about that.
Accepted. Still, this gives me an opportunity to make out some very relevant points. The inspection in public will be our only chance and our last chance to secure modifications to the present draft ENC local plan. If we can convince the independent inspector, Mr. Mayor and councillors, that the draft plan is unsound, then to that extent the inspector is convinced, the inspector will be able to decide modifications. Now, I've studied the criteria for tests of soundness. The inspector needs to be satisfied before he declares the plan sound that it has been positively prepared, that it is justified and an appropriate strategy taking into account reasonable alternatives based on proportional evidence, that it is effective and consistent with national policy. In fact, the second one, justified an appropriate strategy taking into account reasonable alternatives, gives us our only chance. Because in drawing up the present draft local plan, East Northants planning officers have rather hung their hat on the rule about coalescence. In other words, new housing has to be delivered in reasonable groups. In other words, not over small. So this morning I had a word with the senior planner and asked him what was inside the theology on reasonable alternatives and coalescence. And he said that planners had to take into account the landscape as a whole, accessibility, and to what extent it was adjacent to existing development, and also for access of services. Now, this leads me to the conclusion, really, that when a date for the inspection public is set, and I suspect it'll be in the autumn at this rate, I fear there's a long queue of them waiting for the inspector to grind through them, then it would be, I think, good value for money for town council, if they so decide, to instruct a good barrister from the planning bar to soak himself in all this theology and the facts in particular, and to and to make the case that I set out in my paper, which Emma's promised to circulate tomorrow or the day after, that there are significant holes in the three prime sites in the local plan, and also to point, and my paper also points out that, frankly, I think the disregard of the grouping of houses that yourselves, Arundel Town Council, came up with in your neighbourhood plan would make really more sense overall in terms of size of Arundel and nearness of properties as a whole than the groupings in the draft local plan.
Yes.
So that's all I have to say on the subject. Just to add that I imagine it'll be the last time I'll be appearing here as a principal councillor, since at the end of March, East North Hants Council formally ceased to exist, but it'll be taking over throughout April to do a bit of winding up and joining up of loose ends. And on 6th of May, we'll all be voting for our new unitary North North Hants councillors, whoever they may be. So my advice to you is, once we know who they are, and this is a non-political occasion, so I won't mention my party's candidates, so I expect you've got a rough idea, more rough idea who they are, to try and persuade them from time to time to divide amongst themselves the job of appearing at town council meetings, so that you can get to know them, interact with them.
Excellent.
Because
thank you, Rupert. Yeah.
Because they're very wide parishes, and I think they will all be very stretched indeed. But I think the heart's in the right places,
Good.
regardless of what party colours they sport.
Right.
No, meanwhile, although whether I reappear as a town councillor in the longer term will be for others to judge. So I say to you, many thanks, and we'll do it in other capacities.
Yeah. No, thank you. We have to say thank you to yourself and Jake and to Philip for the amount of time that you've put in to what must be a very frustrating process. Okay, then, with that input, thanks to Rupert. The matter will come up in a moment in the agenda anyway.
And I will listen in.
Right,
now I will mute.
Right. So then moving on then, so we got town matters to receive the update on the cycleway on Glapson Road and consider approval of the additional funding. So I think, Emma, you did a good negotiation here, so we seem to have got it back within.
Yeah, got it down to about £125,014.
Yeah, and I think we had a 130,000, was it, within the 106 money?
Yeah. We've spent a little bit of it, but we've got about 128, I think, there.
Okay. So all we have to do here is approve it, isn't it? Unless anybody's got anything else they want to say on it. No. So I would like to
Peter's got his hand up.
Don't worry, I'm leaving soon, so he obviously not bothered to talk to me.
Peter, go on, Peter. Sorry.
All I was going to do is, can we just go ahead and vote for it? 'Cause I approve. I would propose the motion.
The document.
Sorry. I just approved the
motion
to give them the money, because that's what we have to do.
Yeah, we've got to approve it. We've got to approve the extra funds.
Yeah, the extra
exactly.
funds.
So I propose a motion to approve.
Can I just say, a few apologies on my part here, because I mean we communications weren't great between us and Highways for a change. But we thought we had a price, and then it seemed that it didn't include half the contingencies and add-ons and whatever. I've left a lot of this to David R. Wood, and David's done a super job and done a lot of work on this, and I had no criticism of him at all. But I'm slightly embarrassed we didn't come up with the right number at the last meeting. But anyway, I hope you can still approve it.
All right. So Peter's proposed it. I'll second it. All those in favour? So
okay, lovely.
Thank you. Receive an update on Fletton Field.
I think you asked me for this one, Tony.
Yeah, so it was just we have put our request in for an asset of community value again, and I know that it has gone back up through Annabelle, to be considered in the new Northampton Council, and with a personal letter that I've given them, I've asked that it could be considered as a gifted land rather than bought.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rupert, are you waving or you want to speak?
May I speak, please, on that one? My clear information from Samantha Jeffries, ENC, that it's still a matter for ENC to decide, and they're on target to decide that on 4th of April. Only if ENC fails to decide whether or not to renew the present ACV for Letton Field.
Okay, right. That's fine. That's good. No, it's going beyond that though in terms of an offer.
Although only if it fell through the floor, and for some incredible reason, the ENC were not able to decide by 4th of April, then obviously it'd fall seamlessly over to Northants. But at present, Phil, Jake, and I are talking about it with a view to making a combined recommendation. Wait and see.
Okay, thank you. Right, and then to receive news that Oundle has been renewed as a fair trade town, which is great news. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right then, council matters then, as normal. Emma's got a very detailed clerk's report. Anything you want to point out in there, Emma?
No, not really. I attended the SLCC conference over 3 days, which there were some really good presentations, but it is quite difficult doing a lot of presentations just on Zoom. But no, it was good.
Yeah. No, it is hard to keep the attention going, isn't it? Yeah. And some of them not as precise as they could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there isn't anything else.
The various correspondence and so on that we've seen in there. Right. Okay, just checking for hands there. Consider a request from the Oundle Music Trust then. So this is something we covered previously in the QBH thing, but the use of the market space free of charge for the food festival.
Yes, we normally charge £600. Last year they were invoiced, but then they applied for a grant and we gave them the money back, as a grant. It's up to you whether you want them to continue and do that again this year, or whether we just say we will give it to them free of charge.
Yep. So anybody got any thoughts on that, Malcolm?
Yeah, are there any costs that are incurred by us, cleaning or whatever, or marshalling? I take it it's all taken care of by the trust, yeah. Okay.
I think we should just let them have it for free this time. Otherwise, we're creating a precedent by doing the grant situation.
Yeah.
So I think in line with what we were saying earlier about being relaxed because of COVID, we should just let them have it free.
Yeah.
All right. Admin wise, it's got to be better. So anybody got any objection?
No.
Any technicalities, Emma, that we ought to be worried about?
No.
Right.
One thing.
Okay, so do we need to take a vote on that, Emma?
Right. One thing, Tony. Will they have their own insurance?
Yes, sorry, Peter.
Oh yeah, for the food festival, they cover themselves.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Do we have to vote on this?
So do we need to take a vote on that, Emma?
Well, if you can do, but if you've all agreed it, then if you are all happy.
Okay, then it's all.
All happy.
All right, we'll move on then. No? Yeah. To approve the Museum Trust Constitution, this was a bit of an admin thing. We covered this over a year ago. David.
Well, I forgot that this was on the agenda, and of course, I and indeed yourself, amongst others, are trustees of the museum, which makes us wear two hats at a rather difficult time with this one on the agenda. So I'll just declare that interest.
Declare interest. Yes, and myself.
Mhm.
Having said that, we haven't got any conflict of interest here, but we did, over a year ago, we said that the only thing that we wanted in the constitution was that it didn't oblige Oundle Town Council to put the mayor up as chairman of and that's been built in. But unless anybody's got any objections, I would like us to approve that. Okay then. So can I propose it then? Oh, am I allowed to propose it?
If you've declared an interest, maybe get somebody else to do it.
I'll propose it.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry's proposed it. Bella seconded it. Okay, we've got a seconder then.
Yeah.
And then all those in favour? All those in favour, I'll stay out of this one then. Right, so everybody else is in favour of it.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Right, we received the latest information from ENC reference the elections.
Yeah, I just thought I know I had circulated it previously, but thought I ought to put it on as this will be the last opportunity.
Yeah. Peter.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can have a breakdown of how we're going forward, trying to sort of get councillors to come on to Oundle Council for the main elections.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity to talk a little bit more then about that subject. I know Ian's done a lot on publicity so far, and I just wonder whether there's anything else that we should or could be doing at the moment to encourage people in. I don't think we've got it on the electronic notice boards yet, have we?
No, but we can do.
Yeah. Something else that I was thinking of today as I was tying one of the NHS thank you signs back onto the fence by Northbridge was whether or not anybody thinks it's worthwhile us doing something similar, to try and get publicity in for people to come and stand on the council. To actually have 2 or 3 of that type of banner around the town.
I think that's a very good idea.
We've only got about 2.5 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's complex and it's hard to fit on a banner, all the stuff that has to be done.
I've had quite a few inquiries from people, of which I've then forwarded that information that we've received so far. And there was some people from last year that I've been in contact with again. Haven't heard anything back to say yes, they're definitely going to stand.
No, okay. Clive.
I see, Emma, on your report that Rebecca went on a positive comment on social media course. Is this something we can immediately throw at her and say, look, get on it and and do the positive comment thing on social media? To broadcast as much as possible, because I think a lot of people are wedded to it now, to social media, and they follow it like sheep. So if you tell them they've got to sort of do it, then they probably will.
Okay, Malcolm, and then Ian.
Have we got the information on the notice boards? If not, or if we have, can we put a great big notice in there that attract people's attention?
Well, the official notice will come through. You mean the hard copy notice boards?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the official notice will all start coming through soon. I just haven't had anything yet.
Well, I think we ought to maybe print something that's a bit more obvious than those things,
Yeah, can do.
I mean, you're just taking Malcolm's point there. If we could make something virtually the size of the notice board,
yeah,
it really is the only issue at the moment.
Do a General Kitchener. Your Oundle needs you.
So you could star in it, Peter.
Ian,
thank
and
you.
then Val.
I mean, Rebecca's done a pretty good job on social media already, I think, and I know a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people have spoken to me about it. I think a lot of people are putting themselves forward. Whether it's enough, I don't know, but it's gone out to every house in Oundle. There's been a lot of discussion on social media about some of the points raised from cycle lanes and Lord knows what else, and why aren't we in charge of the points. So you know, the message is out there. Whether people want to put themselves forward and can be bothered to put forwards, I honestly don't think an zero notice there at this stage will make a difference. I think it's that commitment that maybe puts people off. But it's certainly there's a lot of widespread age and gender range, etc. Have certainly talked to me about it, and I don't know how much we're going to get, but I think we've done a pretty good job on it so far.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Val and then Peter.
We can't obscure our official notice boards because the official notice has to be displayed by law.
Yeah.
We can't ignore that.
No, it can go in the middle. Yeah, Peter.
Robert, are you 18? No, not even before May. Oh well, there's one person we can't get on the council.
There's quite a lot of people who used to lie about their age to Kitchener, so you know, maybe.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Ian.
I don't want Robert on the council at the moment because I see enough of him as it is every week.
All right.
I'm sure he feels the same back.
Yeah, I really do believe we need to do everything possible to bring people in. So the electronic notice board and something, you know, quite you know, in Rebecca's style on our town notice boards, you know, at least A3 size.
Yeah, the only thing what's going to happen is we're going to have all of the notices for the unitary, the town council elections, police, fire, crime and fish, and they are the ones that we have to put up.
All right, okay.
We're going to be limited with space. They are very boring and they're not colourful, but we are going to have to make sure that they go up.
Okay, sorry. All right then. Too enthusiastic. Right, back to my banners idea. But you know, just on banners, Malcolm was keen on it. Ian, you're saying it might take us too long to get them?
I think by the time, Sorry.
Yeah, we've got 2.5 weeks, and it's going to take us a week to get them sorted and printed. And
okay,
it seems pointless to me, but
no. All right, yeah, you get the point. Okay, right, onward then. We got now financial matters then. Bank reconciliation in the budget for February. Has anybody noticed anything odd in there?
No, I can't see a profit and loss account in there anywhere. So it's a bit better. It's a bit difficult to do the balance sheet, quite frankly, without that. Also, I've been going further down. I can't, on my list, I can't see the list of payments we're supposed to be signing off.
I don't know. I thought the Excel spreadsheet was sent out. Along
with today?
No, not today. No. On my list of payments either. Let me just have a look, see what I sent you. I thought it was all in the financial matters.
Well, that's what I thought it was. And
damn it, I can't see the spreadsheet.
And I can't see the profit and loss account, which you'd normally have in there.
Yeah, it was the Excel spreadsheet. Sorry, I must have missed that off. Just trying to open up my email very quickly and I'll get it sent off to you.
Okay. So I don't know if we can approve it, can we? Without
well, just can we move on a bit?
Yeah,
move on and then come back. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that cover the payments for February? Is that on this thing I'm looking at?
Yeah, I'm just gonna send it to you now.
Right.
Did you want to go on to another item?
Okay, let's go on to the big one then. The planning documents.
Yeah.
And I have to apologise for them only getting out on Sunday, and then my corrections yesterday, and I did have some input from David Fuller on various typos and errors. David Chappell, I saw your comment there about the Ombudsman. I'll double check it, but we were at one point talking about the Ombudsman because in the ENC document, they're saying that the Oundle Town Council plan that was put to the Ombudsman is what they were comparing as their option 2. Their option 2 was not the one that went to the Ombudsman. It was the one that we had at Regulation 14 with the 7 sites in it. So they'd actually compared the wrong sites. So I'll double check it though, that I haven't got it wrong, but that's mine. So what I think we've got now is there's a document there which is on the technicalities of the site selection, you know, which is essentially saying that they haven't reviewed the options correctly. We have there's about 3 additional points that David's made in his document, and what I would suggest is that we put those we put them in total as 4 separate objections to the plan, and submit them on, using their online system. And you know, we'll have the conversation now as to whether there's anything else we want to consider. The only thing that we were left open with following the planning meeting the other day was whether or not we wanted to say anything about the I can't forget the name of the hotel over at Northbridge.
Riverside. The Riverside.
Riverside, yes. Of whether we wanted to say anything about Riverside. My problem being is I can't quite work out within the rules of what they say, you know, how we could do anything on Riverside. Emma, and then Peter.
No, sorry, no, I was just.
Oh, just doing your hair, right?
Yeah.
Peter, and then David.
I'm sorry, Tony. What did you want to say about the Riverside?
Well, they had put some proposals up for Riverside, which, you know, weren't all of the options that we believed we could have been done with Riverside, and therefore it would, you know, whether we wanted to make the point that they haven't taken into consideration all of the options for Riverside.
Yeah, I understand that, because I mean, obviously they've now got firmer details of old people's homes, but is that within the remit of Oundle?
Well, it's an observation Oundle has of the whole of the local plan too, so it doesn't have to be only Oundle.
Okay, well, if you want to put it in, it's there. I mean, David Lang is definitely not David Lang. Sorry, I can't remember his surname now. It's a professor. Who is he at? Anyway, David Lane, I think it is obviously moving forward with it. So,
right. So then David, and then Jerry. So David, do you want to say something?
He's frozen.
I think he's frozen.
He's concentrating.
Yeah.
Jerry, go on, do your
You
bit.
basically said what I was going to say, Tony, which is that it doesn't matter that it's not an Oundle from the point of view of responding to that consultation. You know, we couldn't include it in our plan, but you know, it's clearly of material interest to us what happens to that building over time.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. No, Clive.
It's curious actually reading what they've said about their proposal for that site, because it sort of falls back into place. Do you remember some time ago I sent off that sort of package to Hannah Rothschild, saying that she should perhaps look at it as part of the Rothschild estate and put some proposals in. The proposals I put in that document I sent them are almost exactly the same as their ones. So it's like, I wonder, just the speculation, I wonder if there's ever been a sort of round the back conversation between Ashton Estate and ENC. You know, I don't know. It's interesting. It just seemed curious to me that they've sort of pounced on all the things that we talked about when we sort of had that initial reaction and communication with the Rothschild Foundation.
Yeah. So I'll do that. David, sorry, before you cut off, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I'm sorry. It shows a very inopportune moment to cut out on me. Well, 2 things really. I produced a document that came to full council last time, which had this kind of relatively big gap in it, which was where we were going to insert our own alternative analysis of the sites, which is the work that Tony's been working on. So it's really a question of amalgamating the two. But the thing I flagged up in planning is this, that you can make a strong case for saying that given that they've actually preempted everything by granting outline planning permission for 2 of the 3 sites anyway, that actually the number of properties on those 2 sites are enough to meet the assessed housing need for Oundle, because actually they come to 260 and the figure appears to be 242. Now I appreciate 242 is the minimum, but 260 is still greater than 242. So you could argue out the Stoke Doyle site potentially, and in part that's the way I wrote it up. But of course, it may be that we actually quite like the site, not least because of what it gives us, because it potentially gives us the cemetery extension, which we might not have if that site doesn't get developed. So there is a critical point for us to decide in terms of this submission as to whether we play that card or not. Now, the difficulty in part is this: the response has to go in before the end of the week, which means that realistically, there's little opportunity now to change what we've already got. I certainly doubt that I would have the time to sit down and comprehensively rewrite what I've already done. I know Tony spent an enormous amount of time on his, and we've still got to, as it were, blend the 2 things together to present the complete picture. So I rather suspect that if we're going to put in a response, it's probably going to be that response. Certainly within the planning group, that those members of the committee who are here tonight can correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't get the sense from the planning committee that they had an issue with the thrust of the document that I drafted, which highlighted the fact, and Rupert's already pointed this out to us earlier, we can really only attack the local plan on the basis that there was an improper, ineffective look at the alternative sites, because they clearly rejected the alternative sites on, frankly, a pretty spurious basis in many cases. So I'm all for just amalgamating the 2 together and getting it off as quickly as we can now. So far as the Riverside is concerned, my own view is that there's nothing particularly controversial in the local plan about what it says for the Riverside. And I'd be inclined to not try and conjure something up out of the blue at this moment,
Okay.
Unless anybody feels very strongly about it.
All right. Clive?
Just 2 things really. Just to thank both of you, Tony and David, for the immense amount of work you've done on those 2 documents. I mean, it is a real credit to us as a council and to you two personally to have done it. And I think David is absolutely right. We've got such limited time, and it is a very comprehensive document you put together. If you have the time to amalgamate it, we must send it off. We cannot. It has to be done by the end of the week.
All right. Just on that, because of the awkward way the online system works, I think it lends itself better to it being submitted as 4 Oundle Town Council responses. So we take the discrete ones of David's, and then we take the site analysis, and each of them will go as a item in their own right. So I'll cut the words from David's and put those as the input, with reference to the document that David refers to. Because the way they seem to want it, they want it to refer to lines in a document rather than it be a big thing that somebody has to read.
Right.
So this way, with David, we don't need to edit it, so it goes with your words. The only thing we do need, Emma, is the end date for the lease on the car park.
Okay, yeah.
And I did, David, and I will bounce it back off you. I did edit the words that you put, only to add another line in it saying that it was ENC that sold the Oundle Town Council car park without making a long-term provision for parking in the town. And this, for those of you who haven't seen that particular bit, is that ENC were talking about that part of the town being viable for development as offices or as residential. Peter.
Yeah, I totally support what Clive said. I think yourself, Ian and David have done an incredible job in getting all this put together. It really is quite an incredible amount of work that you've done. To be honest, and I know that people aren't going to like this, I don't think it's going to make a hope of the difference to the local plan or any other plan that NNC take over. The only way forward, I believe, after April and after the local plan, whether it goes forward because ENC won't exist then, is for us to fight each individual site as it comes up. Because the local plan is being pushed forward, whether we like it or not. And I can't, unless it sort of runs out of its time date, I honestly can't see any way forward rather than fighting on the individual sites that we can fight against. The Persimmon site is an obvious site. That is going to be a lot of work, but I think that we could win on that. I'm not sure if we fight the local plan, we will win on that.
No, I don't know what it does for us, but we will put the document in on behalf of the town and the townspeople. Yeah.
Listen, I agree with everything you've done. I really do, and I think you've done really, really well.
Yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, when I see something that's really not going to go very far, I would rather just shift the momentum to something else and work really hard towards that. But that's the way I do things, and so I'm just being honest in my opinion tonight.
Thank you. And Rupert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I entirely agree with this general approach. Shove your representations in, fight individual sites as and when they come up. And we know, of course, that there's a Christmas Drive site, which is at present has an outline permission, will have to come back to a full Planning Management Committee for complete permission, and also on the added input for the sheltered accommodation. Yeah. However, in addition to that, don't make the most of the opportunities for the examination in public. When you get on your feet, or better still, get the experienced experience of the planning bar who is competent in examination, cross-examination, to try and persuade the inspector.
All right.
Thank you.
Rupert. Yeah, okay. David?
Just picking up on Rupert's last point. It doesn't seem to me all that many years ago that I spent about 3 days in the public examination of the last local plan on behalf of the town council, doing exactly that role of cross-examining various people in connection with it. Whether I would be in a position to do the same again for this will frankly depend on when it's all going to be, but fortunately we don't have to make a decision about that one yet.
Well,
if we have,
thank you, David.
If we have finished on the local plan, or when we finished on the local plan, we did just skip by the minutes of the previous planning meeting, and there's something I do want to just mention briefly in connection with those. Okay,
apologies for that, David. Yeah, we'll go back to them just a moment then. So we need to approve what we're doing. There's a bit of editing and documentation to go on, but essentially, you know, I want to authorization from you guys now to put this in. My idea, Emma, is that I need to not talk you through it, but hand it over for you to be able to submit it, because it will come from the town council email address then, and then irrespective of what happens in the future, you've got the links into it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I will prepare it tomorrow for you. So Thursday you've got it ready to submit it.
Excellent. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
So has anybody got any objections to that?
No.
No. Therefore, we'll continue with that then. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Right.
Tony,
And
thank
to my enthusiasm, I will now go back one item in the agenda. So we'll go back to the minutes from the planning committee meeting of the 2nd of March. And apologies, David.
Yep, no, that's fine. These have already been circulated. And the thing I want to draw to councillors' attention is this. One of the applications that we considered related to a property at 18 Clifton Drive. And councillors can see from the minute that we made certain observations on that application to ENC. Subsequent to doing so, the lady who owns and lives at number 18 has been in touch, and it would appear that the quote-unquote treatment room isn't quite what it appeared to be. As a result of that, there's been some correspondence going backwards and forwards between Lisa on behalf of the council and the lady. I've asked that she be invited to attend the next planning meeting where we can look further at that application. That of itself might turn out to be a bit of an issue because the lady's unhappy that we discussed it in the way that we did in an open meeting, and has indicated that she's going to be unhappy if we discuss it again, even if it is potentially to correct an error. I'm going to contact the lady between now and the next planning meeting, but suffice it to say that in view of what we've been told, I don't think we can simply leave our comments as they are, because there is something distinctly misleading about it now. Doubtless by the time we have our next meeting, we have our next set of planning minutes, there'll be something more about that particular property to read.
Okay.
So that's it really on that.
Peter?
Just to say that I can't comment on that because I'm involved with that. Also, I believe her husband is an ex-Oundle councillor.
Okay. Well, David, that's in your court then to pick up, and I don't envy you, but I know you'll get there.
I dare say.
Right. So I've noticed on my email system the accounts have come across now. I don't know if the rest of you are able to open them and look at them, or whether we need to take some other action here.
I can't open mine, so I'll leave you to discuss it.
Malcolm?
Well, the only thing was on the payments, unless we're paying for a coffee machine and coffee, according to this. I thought we'd finished with all that.
We shouldn't be paying for a coffee machine. Are you sure that's not maybe the year to date?
Could be.
Yeah, because it would have been, we stopped, we handed that back after Christmas time, around about September time, but there would have been some payments towards it.
No, this is, sorry. Yeah, that's, I haven't signed it properly. Because those who see monthly payments, April 2020. Well, that's a bit old.
Yeah, you've got the whole years there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Okay. So has anybody else got any concerns with those accounts? I mean, if you can't see them, are you happy for them to be signed off on the basis I've just been through them and Malcolm has?
Well, I haven't. I've got the wrong ones.
Jerry?
Emma, can we do that if we've not had them in advance?
You can, yes, you can do that.
But if you're not happy,
if you're not happy, but I'm more concerned that you approve the list of payments, which
that's what I'm saying. Is that?
Yeah, if some of you can see that now.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm looking
then
at it as we speak.
you even if you can't all see it, if some of you can see it, then you can.
And I was checking. I was trying to check that we're okay to do that, even though it came tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Okay. So if we go back to that item, then is to approve the bank reconciliation, bank sheet and budget for February. Is everybody happy with those then, that those of us have seen them are good enough? So I'd like to propose it. Got a seconder that's read it. Jerry, okay. And all those in favour? Right. And all those against? And the abstentions? Right, 2 abstentions.
Just to say, I am doing the internal check process thing, so I will take it upon myself to have a good look through that lot.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's got any questions, just email me.
What am I doing again, Emma? It's the
internal control check.
There you go. I'm doing the internal control check.
Right. Are we all right on that one now then, to receive an interim internal audit report?
Yeah.
Right, we're happy with that. That's in the pack there.
Yeah.
Right, that's received. Okay then.
We actually do the payments, or did we miss them?
I'm sorry, I'm reading budget for February and then payments for February. David, you're right.
Okay.
On the payments for February. Yep. So anybody got any problems with the payments then? We have had a conversation, but yeah, we're not playing for a coffee machine. Okay, so I'd like to propose those. We've got a seconder. And Malcolm seconded them, and all those in favour? And anybody against? Abstentions?
Only because I can't get them up on my screen and continue this meeting at the same time. I'm struggling for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So 2 abstentions. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, so leaping down then to the rural, estates matters.
Estates, yeah, next.
Yeah, so we've got the minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of February. Is there anything, Peter, that you'd like to draw our attention to?
Not really. No, I mean, it's all basic there. We got through it fairly quickly. Hang on a minute, sorry, I'm just going through to make sure I haven't missed. So we've done the music trust, we've done the new business. No, that was all of it was really.
Okay, and then the next agenda item is that future use of the hub.
Sorry.
The next agenda item is the future use of the hubs. Well, it says in the minutes here, and I hadn't noticed it when I looked at the draft, the hub space in Fletton House. And we've had a conversation about the hub cafe, which I deem as the bar itself, and it is not a discussion about the space, but Val.
Should we be discussing this in an open council? It might be compromised from a business point of view.
I'd respectfully agree with Councillor Chesser. I suspect that if we are going to discuss commercial matters, we've got a number of items we're going to deal with confidentially at the end, and I'd suggest we postpone this and deal with it at the end amongst the confidential matters.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You lot are going to have to remind me when we get to that item to bring this back up again, because I'm bound to forget.
I'll make a note.
Thank you. Right, Rural Coordination Group then.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I chaired the meeting that took place the other week, Monday of last week, and the minutes have been circulated. And I think, in fact, today we've also circulated the sort of revised stroke finalised aims and objectives of the group. It was quite a useful meeting again, not quite so well attended as the previous one. One key thing that perhaps from our point of view emerged from it was that the other villagers seemed to feel that it was appropriate for Oundle to be taking the lead, and that it should be an Oundle councillor who chairs the meetings. As a result of which I've said, well, I'll continue to chair them up until after the elections, and then we'll see. so that amongst the posts that we might be voting for at our May meeting might well be the chairmanship of the Rural Coordination Group as well. It's not going to be a particularly onerous task for me between now and then, because we've scheduled our next meeting to take place after the elections in any event. But one of the things we are sort of looking to do is to get ourselves in a position as a group whereby once we've got the unitary elections out of the way and our own town and parish council elections out of the way, we can take forward two key issues with the new unitary authority. One will be no great surprise to anybody, and it's a range of traffic related issues, where what we're asking individual councils to do is to feed information back to Emma about what they see as the problems in their patch, because we take the view that when you actually line them all up together, you'll see some very similar issues emerging across the whole area. And the other one, in fact, that we were looking at was fly tipping, which seemed to be an issue of some concern again to a number of the councils, where again we'll report instances of it, ideas around what we can do about it, and perhaps more effectively what the unitary authority might be able to do to make fly tipping less likely. So those are some of the key sort of issues going forward. The other thing that we looked at was actually the number of councils that we should involve. And there seemed to be a feeling that we should probably concentrate on those within a certain radius of Oundle, which would perhaps cut down slightly on the numbers that we are currently reaching out to, but not getting any feedback from. It was something Emma and I are going to look at. We haven't actually managed to find time to do it yet, because it hasn't perhaps been the highest of priorities. But we'll have a look at a map and try and come up with something vaguely sensible. That doesn't mean to say that if we get interest from councils outside our area, we might not revisit that. But I think perhaps the answer is to try and concentrate on those councils who thus far have shown a willingness and enthusiasm to engage.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody's got any other questions on the group, or whether there's anything.
The only observation I make just before we go out to the whole floor is your two matters that you've raised are almost identical to the ones that JAG frequently raise with their police group. So whatever to make sure that you are most productive with your time is to make sure you don't duplicate each other, otherwise you drive both yourself and the police mad.
Well, maybe, although there might also be something to be said about weight of numbers as well. But yeah, we'll look at whether members of our group, in terms of the councils, if they have JAG representatives, then there is a greater risk of duplication. But if a number of them don't involve themselves with the JAG, but are involving themselves with this group, then hitting them from both sides might be sensible. But yeah, we'll look at that.
And Val, JAG member.
Well, I'm just going to say it could be appropriate that if a new nuisance, if you like, is recognised, that could be taken to the JAG. That could be a conduit towards the JAG.
Okay, and Ian, and then Clive.
I mentioning a lot of long-term traffic survey, and I think if we do something like that, then we should certainly look at not just Oundle, but the whole area around Oundle, which seems to tie in exactly with what David was just saying. The impact of traffic on the villages and vice versa.
Yeah, Clive, and then I'll come in.
Am I right, Emma? Did I read somewhere in the pack you sent out that you'd had sent a letter to the new leader of the? You were requesting his address, weren't you, from us?
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be quite straightforward. I thought I'd find it somewhere, but I can't. There is a general email address to the Northamptonshire Unitary, but that's just if you've got questions to raise, and I wasn't sure how that would get through. But I might ask Annabelle, see if she knows.
because I think that's quite important that they know that this group exists,
Mm.
and it does represent. And going back to Ian and David's point of, I think it's quite important that the road routes from the town and all the councils that we see are sort of genuinely mapped out, because that goes back to the bus routes that we did talk about in the group, and also the rat run issue of cutting through from the major routes through all of these parishes and towns. So I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah, I think taking this group up to the next level, on traffic, is particularly around development. This whole region of ours, over the next 10 to 20 years, will be subject to more development. And so the traffic survey and what you do with the greater picture of roads, rather than doing it all piecemeal, is where this group fits in, because it stops one town passing its problem onto an adjacent one.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, David, thank you.
Hello.
Sorry about that, Malcolm.
It's not just traffic; it's transport, isn't it? It's also buses and everything else that's involved in moving people around.
Yes.
Well, changeable. So important.
They're very important, yes. So that has to be part of parcel of a whole investigation, if you like, or survey.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking. I'm being observant now. Just checking nobody else has got a hand up. Apologies. Yep. Okay then. So on to correspondence then from the NCALC. It is NCALC, isn't it, Emma?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mm. Oh no, that one is actually from NALC.
NALC, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I've not done a NALC one before. Okay, an update from the Northants Calc, NCALC now. Yes. Yeah. And information on the neighbourhood alert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were all previously emailed.
All right. Right, highways e-bulletin we've got with the 20 mile an hour, which Robert mentioned earlier. Okay. So with that, we move into confidential matters then. And at this point, I want to thank all the people that have joined our meeting. I hope you heard the bits that you needed to hear. Thank you for your time. And, as we've talked earlier about you becoming councillors, with the exception of Robert, who would have to lie, the vacancies are there. Okay, thank you all. At this point, Emma has to cut you out because we're going into confidential matters.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Still got one on then.
He's just gone.
I think he'd only just arrived as well.
Yeah, he had it.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to do a vote just before I?
Yes. Okay. Take a vote. So it's proposed by David. It's seconded by myself, and all those in favour. And that's good enough, right?
Are we doing a? Peter, are you in favour or against?
No, I object as usual.
I'll just put that in.
The objectionable.
Okay. Right, so back into the confidential matters. On the three subject matters there, the first one we say that the answer is no, Arundel Town Council can't concede this. The second one is that we will take the advice of our insurance company, and Emma will progress it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, it will update the process as we come to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. So do we need a vote on those?
No, but if you're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other relevant matters for report only? David?
Well, it's just that I asked for a particular thing to go on the agenda for this meeting. It's actually in the any other business relevant matters for report on the last one, 20.187. And we were going to put something on about the footpath closures. and we haven't.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
We do it next time, please.
Yeah. Could you email me with these on, and then I can. What I
Yep.
do is I can put it straight into my file for the following meeting. So if you just drop me an email tonight.
I'll send you a reminder.
Thank you.
Right. Well, with that then, thank you all. Oh, Peter.
On that point, can we possibly get in touch with, I think it's Persimmon, about the fact that they've still got the playgrounds fenced off?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I've got a feeling Rebecca looked into that, and there's a reason for it, and I can't remember what it is.
Well, if you could tell me, I'd appreciate it for the
Ian, you got
estate.
some information?
Yeah, it's to do with some unexciting process about getting access to the road, and until the road access is done and there's a drop curb or something or other, they can't open the gate, and it's going through ENC, and there was an extremely long wait attached to it, but Rebecca's on it.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Thank you very much.
And it's not.
It's ENC, Ian. You didn't have to say any more.
That's enough.
All right. Okay then, unless there's anything else, I'd like to thank Emma for the hard work
Well,
and getting this lot to us.
Bit of forgetfulness tonight, I think.
So we've got a bit more to do. I'll get these documents to you sometime tomorrow,
Thank
later
you.
on tomorrow. I'll really practice them on the website and make sure they go in, because you need to put select headings and so on.
Right. Okay. Lovely. Thank you.
4:30 on 4:30
Friday.
Friday.
Mm.
Get them in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.